The government of Somaliland has been urged to invest in technical institutions in the country. The only two technical institutions are in deplorable structural situation. The two were established through fundings from the Western German government in early 1960s under bilateral aid to the former Somalia. The two institutions produced top-notch technicians of high caliber, including former Assistant Minister of Finance Engineer Ahmed Hashi. Hashi is a former student of Bur'o Technical Institute. The engineer, who is now a member of the country's upper house, has urged the government to finance the two technical institutions to curb the high rate of unemployment in the country.
That's going to develop. I think technical aspect is very important because the development is based on technicalities, whether it's engineering or whether it's a vocational training. Particularly, Somaliland needs vocational training schools because there is a lot of higher institutions or universities that you can learn from technology, from engineering, but there's no basic actually. If you see the city and if you can see the building if you can see that of finishing, the plumbing, the electricity, it's not yet developed. There's no official technical institutes that the government owns or manages, so that we urge the government to actually look into that. It's a very gap in that technical aspect of the vocational trainings of the country. There is a lot of gaps, so we urge the government to develop on that and focus that.
Since the construction of the two technical training institutes until 1980s, the Germans were in exclusive management of the institute and availability of all funds related to training materials, students' welfare, as well as selection and training of trainers. All that is left of the school now is few concrete walls and the floor cemented foundation. There is no fence or premises to protect the area from livestock or squatters, and it is at risk of being built by a private developer for housing. The machines and tools were looted, while the metal sheets were sold to foreign countries by looters in 1991. The government has been urged to partner with international NGOs and foreign countries to revive the institutions, if the annual budget for the Ministry of Education cannot be sufficient to fund the two training institutions.
The current government can get an assistance. They can manage also to make partnership with other foreign countries. But establishing by itself, I think when you see the current budget, it's going to be difficult. But at least the government should allocate some resources for that and then go to assistance or match funding for that. Always when you are fundraising, you have to have funding on the table first. But you cannot go and say, I don't have anything, you have to assist on that. But the best way that you can fundraise and get assistance is to have the blade something for you first, and then ask the rest of the other donors or the other donor countries. So we urge the government to actually allocate some resources for technical institutes or vocational training schools.
Early this year, the Somaliland government had partnered with the German Society for International Cooperation that will lead to the construction of modern vocational institute in the capital. It is not yet known if the German Society for International Cooperation is convinced with the proposals made by the government led by incumbent President Musa Bihi Abdi. Yunus Deko, CBA News, Hargeisa. Al-Shabaab